And we are so glad you're back, everyone, on CBS 3 Eyewitness News at 10:30 exclusively on the CW Philly. Thanks for joining us. About the Roe versus Wade story that I just gave you about, we get the latest from our CBS News correspondent.
Elected representatives can decide whether or not to restrict it. Four other conservative justices, Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, reportedly voted in the majority. It is not clear whether Roberts would have allowed the Mississippi law to stand without overturning Roe, or whether he joined the three liberals. If the draft holds, it would represent a triumph for the anti-abortion movement, which has marched for life every year since the court's landmark 1973 decision that abortion was a constitutional right that states could not ban. The court in 1992 was one vote away from overturning Roe. Over the next 30 years, that goal was a Republican campaign promise. With Justice Clarence Thomas on record opposing Roe, President George W. Bush nominated Alito. A decade later, after the death of Justice Antonin Scalia, then Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blocked President Obama from filling the seat, giving former President Trump the opportunity to nominate Gorsuch and later Kavanaugh and Barrett. Like with every Supreme Court confirmation hearing since Roe, all were pressed for their views.
Roe v. Wade is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. It has been reaffirmed many times.
So if I express a view on a precedent one way or another, whether I say I love it or I hate it, it signals to litigants that I might tilt one way or another in a pending case.
Those are boilerplate answers for appellate judges obliged to follow Supreme Court rulings. As justices, they can rethink them. And in arguments in the Mississippi case last December, it seemed they were ready to rethink Roe.
That was our CBS News correspondent with that news story about the Roe versus Wade incident. Switching gears and going directly to our next news story. President Biden and lawmakers are trying to react about the SCOTUS draft. Ed O'Keefe has more on that. Ed, good evening to you.
Utterly horrified. And Democrats worried about the potential legal consequences.
This is a 5-alarm fire.
I am angry. Angry and upset. Angry and upset and determined.
Democratic leaders denounced the three conservative justices nominated by former President Donald Trump and accused them of lying to the U.S. Senate and defiling the Supreme Court's reputation. Two moderate Republicans who also support abortion rights agreed. Alaska's Lisa Murkowski.
If it goes in the direction that this leaked copy has indicated, I would just tell you that it rocks my confidence in court right now.
Maine's Susan Collins said reversing Roe would be completely inconsistent with what Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh told her before their confirmation. The president said lawmakers supporting abortion rights should write them into law.
I think the codification of Roe makes a lot of sense.
Collins and Murkowski are sponsoring a bill that would narrowly protect abortion rights, but oppose a Democratic bill that broadly prevents federal and state governments from limiting access to abortion. The bill is stalled in the Senate, but Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he'll force a vote from Republicans who oppose it on record.
This is as urgent and as real as it gets.
As for this year's midterm elections, Democrats believe abortion rights will be a big factor.
The contours of the November election this year changed.
The bombshell leak was on the mind of several voters casting ballots in Ohio's primary today.
I felt particularly emboldened to come out today and I don't know, a sense of responsibility, especially with a lot of the reproductive rights discussions coming out of the Supreme Court.
We'll trust and hope that the Supreme Court does their job and does it impartially, and that this little stunt doesn't affect their rulings.
Well, Justice Samuel Alito writes in the draft decision that the ruling should only concern the right to an abortion. President Biden said today that other rights, like the right to privacy, same-sex marriage, or access to birth control, could also one day may soon be at risk if the decision becomes final.
Ed O'Keefe reporting live from the White House. Thank you, Ed. More than half of all United States are taking action to roll back abortion access. We get the latest from Janet Shamlian. Janet?
To an abortion as feeling like a gut punch. I'm just shocked and appalled. I just wondered at what point our country became a country where people's voices weren't heard anymore. The majority of Americans are for pro-choice.
While others cheered the draft Supreme Court opinion that would overturn Roe v. Wade.
As a sign says abortion is murder, and I feel that way, period.
26 states are poised to outlaw abortion or weaken access if Roe v. Wade is overturned. These 13 states have so-called trigger laws, abortion bans that take effect immediately if the court strikes down Roe. 16 states are going in the other direction, with laws designed to protect abortion rights. Among them, Illinois.
As long as I'm governor of Illinois, and as long as we have a pro-choice legislature, abortion will be legal in this state. And as with everything, the burden will fall disproportionately on the most marginalized women.
But Virginia's Governor Glenn Youngkin says he welcomes the decision.
I do support the fact that this should be a state decision. That state decision is one that we're going to have to work with our legislature to do.
Will never change the need for abortion. And
providers like Houston's Dr. Bhavan Kumar says there's already dwindling access that could lead to.
I've seen several people each week tell me that I can't travel out of state. That's not an option for me, whether it's because they're not, whether they can't afford to travel, going to another state, hundreds, if not thousands. It's not easy to do, and for many people, not possible.
In places like California, abortion will likely remain protected, but there's growing concern.
It was really scaring me to know that something that I thought would be protected for my entire lifetime is no longer protected on a national level.
Tonight, there are protests planned for all across the country. One of them is scheduled to be right here at Houston City Hall.
Janet Shamlian reporting live with that news story. Thank you, Janet. Now to the latest on major fires that happened in New Mexico. They're prompting evacuation orders for thousands of people. According to officials, they say the fire started to merge with the Herbert Peak and whatnot. New Mexico's governor, Miss Michelle, is requesting federal laws and whatnot. Coming up after the break, voters head to the polls in Ohio, and the latest on an Alabama inmate escape, as a warrant is being issued for a correctional officer in connection with a dangerous inmate. We'll have the latest on that when we come back. Stay with us.